All right, fellas, I know that you just read this title. You're like, Ron is fucking tripping. This is some bullshit. There's no way that you just compared a wide receiver who's not even the top wide receiver in this class to SAQUON Barkley. But look, just scale back for a second. Rondale Moore, if you put SAQUON Barkley in a lab and you just kind of extracted his DNA out and you shoved it inside of a 5'9" receiver, he would be Rondale Moore. Just look at this picture. The guy has that running back type build, 5'9", 180 pounds. Though I think you could clearly look at it. I think he's probably more 185, 190. He's got that SAQUODs build. He's got those fucking quads popping. He's got the biceps popping. He's looking like a full-on snack. You know, if I swung the other way, maybe me and Rondale Moore, I'd hit him up on Twitter. Now, he not only looks the part of a freak athlete, he has the workout videos. He has the workout metrics to back it up. He squatted 600 pounds as an 18-year-old freshman at 174 pounds. And you know what squat video looks a little bit similar to this one? SAQUON Barkley going 495 for 7 reps at Penn State. The guy's a freak. Not only are his squats insane, but he ran a 4.33 and had a 43-inch vertical coming out of high school. He had the highest Sparks rating in the class with like the composite of all his athleticism metrics. He is just an insane alien type athlete. I love that about Rondale Moore, but we're not aiming for that. We don't want the combine heroes. We don't want a Kevin White. We don't want a John Ross. So the question is, did the boy show up to school and was he the big man on campus? And oh boy. Did this man Rondale Moore fucking produce, man. He posted the most dominant freshman season in this class. He posted 114 receptions, 1,200 receiving yards, 12 touchdowns in the Big Ten. And not only that, but he had 21 rushes for 213 yards and 2 touchdowns as an 18-year-old freshman in the Big Ten. I can't even put into words how insane that is to be a 4-star recruit. I think he was 4-star. He comes on to Purdue. Purdue, no one... right now, besides David Bell and Rondale Moore, I cannot name you a Purdue player. This is not a premier program in the Big Ten, but yet he was doing crazy things. He posted a 36.7% Dominator rating, which for any of you guys out there who don't know what Dominator rating is, it's a percentage of teams' passing yards and touchdowns. So it's kind of your market share inside of the offense. It kind of scales it back so we don't just look at the raw numbers. You know what I mean? I would rather have a guy that had 1,000 receiving yards on a team that had only 2,000 passing yards in general, instead of a guy that had 1,500 receiving yards on a team that threw for 5,000 yards. You know what I mean? So it shows you the percentage of the offense, so it kind of scales out having bad quarterback play, which is exactly what Rondale Moore had. I think David Blow, I think that he's a backup on the Lions now. Now, having that 36.7% Dominator rating is insane. No other receiver in this class even eclipsed the 30% Dominator rating in their freshman season. Everybody's looking for a 20% breakout age, like 20% Dominator for their breakout age, but 30% is just that next level. Only 6 receivers since 2015 have done it in their freshman season. You have Juju Smith-Schuster, Corey Davis, Tyler Boyd, Tajay Sharp, Amari Cooper, and Stephon Diggs. I think that's 7, actually. 33% posted a top 12 season, and 83% posted a top 24 season. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. No, that was 6. All right, my bad. That was 6. 33% posted a top 12 season. 83% posted a top 24 season. So that's really good company to be in. It doesn't guarantee that he's going to be great, but if you're playing with 83% odds that the receiver that you're drafting at the back end of the first round has one top 24 season, I don't see how you could get mad at that. I'm punching the button on that every time. Now, for all of you guys that like to watch the film, watch the tape, as I say, I'm a big analytics guy, but I would say about 25% of my analysis is looking at him on film. So, I had to turn on his Ohio State tape. And what does he actually look like on the field? To me, he looks like a pumped-up Brandon Cooks, kind of plays like a Steve Smith, and he's really good from the slot on outside breaking routes. He tore up Ohio State all day with it. He's a really good separator in the intermediate to short parts of the field. He'll get to the top of his route, and he'll change direction on a dime, man. He's not just going to be lining up in the slot, running slants, running outside breaking routes, like a 5-yard out, like a flag route. He can get bubble screens, and he's going to get end arounds. He's a guy that is super dynamic. Like I said before, he had that 21 rushes, 213 yards, and 2 touchdown stat line on the ground. We want guys that earn the ball in space, guys that are playmakers, guys that are like Laviska Shenault, Brandon Ayuk, Deebo Samuel, Tyreek Hill. We want guys that, in fantasy, we don't want just guys that are going to be catching the ball, because as opposed to like running backs are getting locked in 15 to 25 touches a game. Wide receivers are only getting like 5 to 8 to 10. You're adding on to that total if your guy is commanding the ball so much to the point where he's not only just thriving off of targets, he's thriving off of rushes, he's getting carries, he's getting manufactured plays in the flat, in the screen. Those are the kinds of guys you want. As a 18-year-old freshman. He led the NCAA in yards after the catch and avoided tackles. He is just a problem out of the backfield, not only just as a receiver. He's an explosive playmaker, and it shows on the field. He's getting end arounds out of the backfield, turning them into 10-plus yard gains against the Ohio State defense. This is a defense. This isn't just some random defense. He's in the Big Ten playing Ohio State as a freshman. On this team, they have Nick Bosa. They have Chase Young. They have all kinds. They might even had Denzel Ward at this time. They had Sean Wade in the slot. They have all kinds of playmakers, and he's out there making the Ohio State defense just look silly. As a 5'9", 180-pound freshman, he gets a fat, and even especially on this play where he gets a pass into the flat, trucks a fucking corner, beats the whole defense of the end zone. I can't explain how insane it is that Rondale Moore, as an 18-year-old freshman, posted 12 catches for 170 receiving yards, 2 touchdowns with 2 rushes for 24 yards in a 49-20 win over the number 2 Ohio State football team. He single-handedly beat this team with just absolute, I wouldn't call them scrubs because this is the Big Ten, but Purdue, I can't remember the last time Purdue football was ranked inside the top 25 for any longer than a 2-week span. Now, you guys are telling me, I know that in the back of your guys' head, you're watching this video, you know, okay, this is all good and well. You know, Rondale Moore, he's a beast, taking carries out of the backfield. You know, he looks really dynamic. He looks like a cool player, but what has the guy done outside of his freshman season? How come we're not talking about everything besides his freshman season? And here's the problem. This is the biggest, if we want to talk about, you know, the flaws in his profile, you know, kind of a Slim Shady approach, you know, I'll get up on the mic and I'll list his flaws, you know. Look, he only played 7 games in his sophomore and junior season, but I'll scale back a little bit. It was like injury problems, stuff like that. You don't want a guy that just goes crazy his freshman season and then you don't see much from him in his junior and sophomore season. But in the 4 games he played in 2019, he still maintained a 30% plus Dominator rating. He suffers a hamstring injury in his sophomore season, and Rondale Moore is the kind of guy, he knows after that freshman season what he did, how special that season was, and now he needs to preserve his body for his draft capital. So second season, a hamstring injury 4 games into the season really shouldn't keep you out the entire season, but Purdue's not making the playoffs or anything like that, so he sat out the rest of the season. Then his junior season comes around, COVID happens, he opts out, opts back in when the Big Ten comes in. He suffers a hamstring injury before the season even starts and then calls it quits after 3 games and sits out the rest of the season. So there's definitely a little bit of a red flag for his injuries. But shout out to Adam Hutchinson, a fantasy Twitter docker in the community. There's plenty of guys to follow like this on Twitter. But he is very vocal that him missing all this time wasn't due to catastrophic injuries like ACL tears, MCL tears. It was really just precautionary to kind of preserve his health and preserve his future. You know, there's no reason to go out there and just beat up your body and try and kill yourself over playing the back half of a Purdue football season. There's really no reason for it. So I'm a firm believer that I don't think players are injury prone. I think that it's a lot of unluckiness. You need to really be a guy that is injury prone. Like, I guess you could say like a Todd Gurley is kind of injury prone, but Rondale Moore, he's very young. He hasn't had a catastrophic injury yet. I really don't see him as someone that's injury prone, or I honestly don't even have I don't even move him down my rankings because of the injury problems. I would say if you wanted to make a case against Rondale Moore, the one thing that you could definitely say is his size. You know, in football, I would say, you know, size matters a little bit. At 5'9", he's looking rough because 5'9" receivers, there were 0 5'9" receivers in the top 24 this year, but I will say there were 4 5'10" receivers. So you really do, it's really tough because I love Rondale Moore, the playmaker. I love Rondale Moore, the receiver. But there is some merit to, you want it's sometimes a better bet to get a 6-foot+ receiver that just looks like an alpha. You know, a guy that looks like Metcalf, a guy that looks like A.J. Brown, a guy that looks like Justin Jefferson, DeAndre Hopkins, Michael Thomas. You know, you kind of want that bold where they're 195+, 6-foot+, and kind of look the part. But when Rondale Moore, he's this undeniable. We've seen Brandon Cooks do it. We've seen Steve Smith do it. I showed you the numbers before. It doesn't take into account the size, but 30% plus Dominator rating. To me, if anyone can do it and anyone can overcome the 5'10" thing or in under, I think it would be Rondale Moore. And then I would say the last negative, I know that we're listing off a lot of negatives here for Rondale Moore, but there's going to be, I want to give you guys the full picture. Some people are going to say that he had a limited route tree. I've seen like charts on Twitter and him running a limited route tree. He only caught balls really mainly before the first down marker, has a first percentile yards per reception with 9.9 yards per reception. But how much of that is like contributed to quarterback play? You know, he had David Blow. He's not getting anything crazy. I personally think he's going to be fine as a pass catcher. I think he has some Curtis Samuel, Tyreek Hill to him with screens, manufactured touches. And then he also has that 4.3 speed, you know. So I think that he's going to be able to be that deep threat like Steve Smith and Brandon Cooks were, even though he didn't in college. I know that I think that it's a lot of his quarterback. You have a guy like Rondale Moore. He never had drop problems. His hands are fine. I'm sure that he'll learn that route tree later on, but I don't see why in the slot he can't run a deep route with 4.3 speed and get open. To me, it's not really a problem. When we look at his draft capital and where he's going to go in late April, early May, I think right now he's projected to go around pick 50 in my rookie database. I take like 10 mock drafts, kind of average them out. And right now he's going around pick 50, so like early day 2, which is right in the sweet spot for wide receivers. That's where we want him to go. That's where T. Higgins went, Chase Claypool, AJ Brown, DK Metcalf. I could easily see him even going late first round if he runs that 4.3, destroys the virtual combine, maybe weighs in at like 190, 510. Like now we'd be talking. When we talk about team fits and where we want to see Rondale Moore go, selfishly, as a Jets fan, maybe we get Justin Fields, maybe we get Deshaun Watson, who knows? But selfishly, the cap is shrinking, and I would love to see him on the Jets. The cap is shrinking, so let's cut Jamison Crowder, save 10 mil. We get Rondale Moore at pick 34, get him in the slot, maybe Allen Robinson just got taxed, maybe Kenny Golladay, maybe Denzel Mims. You got Rondale Moore in the slot, and Justin Fields in the fucking pocket throwing balls. Like, tell me not, fellas. Like, that would be, I know even if you guys are Jets non-believers, that's a sick package right there. But let me chill. I would also say if you want to go outside the Jets, outside of my sick homer thoughts, we got the Dolphins. I think the Dolphins could use a slot guy. I'm not really. I do like Jakeem Grant as like a sleeper, but like, come on now. Let's get Gesicki. Let's get Devontae Parker on the outside. Let's get Rondale Moore in the slot. I know Gesicki lines up in the slot, but I think Rondale Moore would really help a young quarterback like Tua. Then you also have the 49ers. And the 49ers, it would be kind of a redundant asset, to add them to Ayuk, Debo, and Kittle, but it really seems like Kyle Shanahan just wants to be able to have interchangeable parts in that offense where he can just say, I want all the yak guys, I want wide receivers that are literally running backs, and I want Kittle. So I think that he fits their scheme really well. Would he be a super dominant fantasy asset on that team? Not really. And I think I would love to see the Cardinals do it. I know that Christian Kirk is a slot receiver, but I could see Christian Kirk on the outside, Rondale Moore in the slot, D-Hop on the outside. They run plenty of 3 to 4 wide receiver sets, so I think that they could have a lot of fun with him in the slot, on the outside, anything among those lines. I know Kingsbury loves those little bubble screens, and they honestly don't work. I don't love Kingsbury's play calling, but I think if there's one guy that can just defy the odds with shitty bubble screens, it would be Rondale Moore. And on top of that, Kingsbury, you can get a little bit creative in the backfield. You could have him. You could go empty. You could motion him in. You could even give him like a draw play in the middle, or you could even do like a read option with Kyler Murray. You could get insanely creative with a spread formation, and then you motion in Rondale Moore as the running back. And completely, I don't know I would want him in that role, but I could easily see a way where you could run a spread, and you could even motion him in as like a 3-down back in like 2-minute drill situations. Now, this is what this whole video is for. What are we going to do in rookie drafts? Where is he going in rookie drafts? And selfishly, these videos are supposed to be me picking guys that I think are getting drafted too late in rookie drafts. I'll be honest with you, I don't think Rondale Moore is getting drafted too much later than he should be, but I really wanted to make a video and highlight Rondale Moore. He's a guy I really love. I think that he's a really slept-on prospect. He's going to the 201 in Superflex as the wide receiver 5. It's not super far off from where I have, though I will say Nick's like Discord, Nick Ercolano, he does these rookie mock drafts. His Discord's super sharp. I think a lot of your league mates will probably have Jamar Chase, Devonta Smith, Bateman, Waddle, Terrace Marshall, Kadarius Toney even ahead of him. I think it's going to vary. I think some guys will have him as high as wide receiver 3, which is where I have him. I have him at wide receiver 3 as my 110. So I'm 2 wide receiver slots higher than consensus, and I'm about 3 draft picks higher than consensus. But I do think that he's going to be a guy that ranges. I think some guy might even have him as their wide receiver 2, and I think some guys are going to have him wide receiver 8, wide receiver 9, wide receiver 10 because of that size concern, especially if it doesn't get that draft capital. But I'm here to say I think that he's a locked and loaded. I think that his floor is top 24 wide receiver. I have him as wide receiver 3, and I really love the way that Rondale Moore plays, and I love what he can be at the next level, especially if he gets into a system that's going to be creative with him. But that's it, man. If you made it this far, I appreciate it. Make sure you go down below, subscribe, leave a like, join the Discord, man. At the top of the description, I have a Discord on there. In there, you can get we're going to join subscriber leagues. We're going to have maybe a March Madness bracket. I don't know. But subscriber leagues like Dynasty leagues, Best Ball leagues, seasonal leagues. If you want to get in a video, I do mock drafts. You can get in on there. If you want to talk anything trades, if you want to run a trade by me, if you want to show me your Dynasty team, if you want help with your rookie draft, man, all of that is in my Discord down below. And if you want my rankings, that can be found on Patreon right below that. As always, man, I love you guys. I love what we're building here. We're at about 565 subscribers right now. I can't thank you guys enough. You can find me at @RonStewart_ on Twitter. I'll see you guys in the next one.